All right, Matty, we are back again. Another week, another show of the Ask Matty Show. Matty, how are you feeling today?
Hey, I'm doing great. Had a productive weekend. Good start to the week here. Kind of getting after those January goals that I set for myself earlier this week, trying to stay in the gym. So I'm feeling good, feeling optimistic, and ready to chat about some crypto.
Matty, we have a lot of good questions today. XRP and Bitcoin is a big topic for today. NDAs with Ripple. And is the bull run on? I don't know. That's a reoccurring question with you guys every single week here as we get closer, inching closer and closer to the Bitcoin halving. Matty, I did want to ask you something about really quick. Can you share with the team what you got going on? Because you got something special going on our platform right now in the Discord. You're giving a lot of trade ideas. Can you not share a trade idea here, but maybe talk about what you're doing on the platform?
Yeah, so we've shifted a lot of our community focus into Discord. So we have our website, which is great for all the resources and looking through those learning materials and being able to watch the show live there. But we've really cultivated a culture in our Discord where we're really engaging in trading as well. So we do have a section there for day trading, and some folks are playing around on 5 and 15-minute frames, but I try to identify some setups on 4-hour and 12-hour and daily setups for you guys to follow. Right now we have a Bitcoin in there. It's a long Bitcoin idea. It's a very simple setup. I give you guys not just, hey, here's the parameters, but the reasoning behind it as well, so you kind of get a little bit more of an understanding each trade we take as to kind of those signals and clues you look for a proper setup. And I don't post too many trades in there either. I just try to pick through a handful of them, be patient, let those limits hit, and get after it. So if you guys are looking for that kind of experience where you kind of are given some trades, but you're also learning along the way and have a resource to ask questions, our program is the best place for that. That is included in our special price right now. So you get the access to the dashboard, you get access to the updates Monday through Friday, you get access to ask questions as well as the trade ideas for $50 a month if you use code YouTube, or $4.99 for the year with code YouTube. Again, you're gonna save a little bit more money with that annual plan.
Absolutely, Matty, team. And all we have to say here is just subscribe to this YouTube channel. We're going to show crypto charts. That's our job. But we also are going to get into education topics that Matty's going to lay into here, just like I described before, XRP and Bitcoin. I know you guys love to talk about XRP and love to, relate it back to Bitcoin. So we're going to get into that right now. Matty, are you ready?
Let's do it.
Wood Customs says XRP has a good use case, but I make way more money off Bitcoin than XRP. And that is the whole point here, to make money.
I agree. I'm absolutely here to make money, and that is my number one goal with my investing. As somebody who's passionate about technology as a whole, passionate about the space, I would say that I'm definitely a cut above the average investor because I'm genuinely enthusiastic about this space. And I care about the evolution of this technology because I see how it's going to change the world. I look at the adoption of a lot of things. I know we always reference the internet, and the internet's still very much evolving. This is, to some extent, another evolution of the internet. And there's a lot of people who look at the raw tech that we had even, let's say, 10 years ago, right? And we're like, well, this is it. This is the pinnacle. It can't get any better than this. Or you look at the shortfalls of the tech that we have, and you're like, this is never going to get fixed, right? This is expensive. It breaks all the time, right? And then we work it out over time. More market competitors come in. We have better tech that evolves all the time, right? In relations to the investment side of it, though, right? We've talked about this concept many, many times before. You look at assets as they mature, as they get bigger in market cap. It takes more and more money to make that market move the same percentage that it did previously, right? So eventually, what's going to happen with my XRP holds is, my long-term bags are great. I have targets for long-term XRP targets, talking about 3 and 4 figure XRP targets, right? But the return cycle after cycle for even XRP will become less and less as the market cap grows. So what does that mean for me? And for most of us that want to be actively involved with investing and not just kind of do the lazy approach of buying 3 coins and just, always DCA and I'll sell these at 50 years down the road, right? We want to have fresh powder available for new technology and new solutions that are presented to us that are maybe, first of all, a better ROI opportunity than Bitcoin, but also a better technological opportunity than Bitcoin, right? So if you're able to capitalize on both of those, it gives you flexibility with the exiting of your assets, right? Because if you're getting a good cost average in something like XRP, which has basically been consolidating for the last several years, right? We're going to see a 2-figure XRP here, right? I'm looking at a minimum of $10 for XRP. I don't think we're going to get anything less than 10 for XRP, right? So the risk to reward ratio there's already exponentially better than Bitcoin, even if, let's say, we hit $250,000 Bitcoin, right? I think a lot of people get blinded by the price of an asset and they're like, I'm doing really well because Bitcoin's worth $40,000 right now. It's worth $50,000 right now, right? But to me, it doesn't matter, right? Because it's all about the percentage gain that I'm after, as well as trying to find some of the best tech, right? Because now I have the opportunity to capitalize on that very volatile market cycle. I'm going to get probably that best return out of that first investment. But if I find good assets, especially if I have staking rewards like I have with Casper, like I have with API3, right? I can keep a portion of that tucked away, continuing to essentially earn interest on that, and have more flexibility down the road at what prices I want to sell those at, right? So if you're just all in on Bitcoin and you want to have that hands-off approach, and you think that you're always going to do better with Bitcoin than altcoins, that's not true. The math is against you, right? The bigger an asset gets, the more difficult it is to make that bigger push. So you do what's good for you, I'll do what's good for me.
Tria Hunter 888 says, have we officially entered the bull run?
So I think that probably the best answer to this is the bottom is in. I believe that the bottom is very much in. I don't believe in the capos calling for 12K. I just don't see the catalyst for that. I think that if we were in a different spot with the Fed right now too, where if we hadn't been tightening already for the last like 19 or 20 months, right? And we had not already been attacking inflation like this, and we were in a different spot where the Fed was being accommodative, I'd be like, okay, yeah, maybe that makes sense, where we see a huge depreciation because now the Fed has to do something about inflation. We have to start raising rates, right? But we've already raised and tightened as much as we possibly can. If you tighten any more, the banking system is very fragile right now. There's a lot of markets that are very fragile right now. The Fed doesn't really have a lot more room to tighten that aggressively, right? So what I'm looking for, again, is a culmination of looking at that macro, right, and going, okay, it's very likely we'll see at least some easing. Will be permanent easing for the next 24 to 36 months? No, absolutely not. I can't promise that, right? We could get multiple pauses in there. There's a lot of ways that the Fed can approach a cut. They can do partial quantitative easing as well, right? Where maybe they're keeping rates high, but they're buying mortgage-backed securities and putting those on their balance sheets, right? They can do these hybrid models where they don't have to just go full QE, right? So yes, I think that the market has plenty more upside to it long term. Again, that doesn't mean that we don't get pullbacks. It doesn't mean that we don't potentially retest a $33,000, $35,000 Bitcoin. That would be incredibly healthy. Everyone would be losing their heads, and Kappa would be coming out saying that 12K is on the table again, right? So are we in a bull run? I think to some extent, yes, because I do believe the bottoms are in. But that doesn't mean that we don't continue to establish higher lows and get deep, aggressive pullbacks and corrections, right? There's a lot of narratives that can accompany those. But yeah, I think that probably in the next 18 months, we see new all-time highs for just about every crypto.
Okay, Matty, thinking a little bit more short term, Dan, our friend Dan, at Crypto Charge, Dan Habib, was laying out something very interesting the other day, and he showed his prediction from 9 months ago, so April of last year. He showed where he could see Bitcoin, where it's at right now. So he showed his prediction from April last year, and it was 47K on Bitcoin. Right to the T, we saw a wick above to 49K, but we saw a candle body close at 47K, which was like crazy. So he was like on the money. And something he was displaying or sharing with is like, this could be the high before we get into a bull run. Are you of that same mindset?
I think we've established to some extent a local high on Bitcoin. Even the trade idea that I've set up in the day trading section right now doesn't even have us poke a new high for Bitcoin right now. We have marched very, very aggressively with Bitcoin. It has been very little pullbacks. There's only one small distributive structure that we made many, many months ago that offered some sort of pullback in there. We have not offered on a daily level a proper pullback with Bitcoin. It is very likely we have established a local high on Bitcoin and could see a pullback into like the low 30s, and that would be establishing a macro higher low. And this is also just typical retracement behavior, right? We've seen previous markets where they pull up into a 618 to a 786 region, or the notorious 702. Shout out to blockchain backer on that one. Kind of that sweet spot in between those, right? And then we see a pretty big correction downwards, and then a higher low established. So are we in a bull run to the extent of you should be buying everything aggressive right now because you think price is going to take off and do that parabola with you for tomorrow? No, I never ever would suggest you invest that way. Do I think the bottom's in and we're going to continue to test higher highs and higher lows? Yes, absolutely.
Money Machine Paul 321 says, I agree a lot with what you have to say about Zcash, but does it worry you at all with all the negative press it's gotten?
I genuinely, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, do not give a shit about the press's opinion about crypto at all. there's a lot of scary things that can happen in crypto, right? And that's true of any investment. I mean, I want you guys to think back maybe even a little bit, right? If you look at like the dot-com bubble, which I've studied quite a bit, even in the last few years, right? You had people who were making legitimate 1,000x's on just like dot-com projects that didn't do anything, didn't actually become a real company, didn't really make any tech that was meaningful in our society today, right? So when I look at things like negative press, right? Like there's a lot of negative press surrounding the entire dot-com bubble. To some extent, some of it's true, right? Not everything can be a winner. Not everything is a viable solution. Not everybody has the infrastructure to have a successful company. And that's the same true of the blockchain blockchain market, DLT market, all of this, right? It's not all everything that's here today is not going to be here tomorrow, right? But when we look at privacy, it's really just a big barrier because of government approval, right? To some extent, we need bigger clarity on exchanges, right? Because exchanges as a whole, like, is the top of the problem right now, because we can't even identify them as brokers or not, right? They can't even go to the SEC and say, hey, we want to, offer these assets, and this is how we want to do it, and you just literally can't fill out those forms right now. So when we look at something like Zcash, which is a privacy coin, right? Meaning the transactions are shielded, so we can verify that the transactions are valid on the public blockchain, but we don't necessarily need to see all the sensitive credentials of who and where received what Zcash, right? Governments don't like that. It's the same reason that we saw Tornado Cash taken down, right? But then there's also kind of like this resurgence of, hey, is code free speech? I personally believe, yes, we have a First Amendment right here to publish free code and free speech, and we should be able to share those resources with each other as needed. Just because somebody doesn't like the context or what someone could do with something doesn't mean that we shouldn't be able to do those things, right? I look at XRP as the prime example here, though, in the more recent days that we've had, right? It was actually literally less than a year ago that we got this ruling for the SEC v. Ripple case. And this entire time, right, over 2 years, everyone's telling me it's going to zero. XRP is a security. You're wrong. You guys don't know anything about this, right? But when you really peel it back and you understand the value of the technology, generally what you're going to see is the press attack those things that have high value that could potentially disrupt a lot of things in a lot of industries, right? And I do believe that Zcash can. Now, am I that person who is going to allocate all of my money to Zcash and hold all of it long term because I love Zcash so much? No, of course not. I won't do it with XRP either. It's like at the beginning we talked about this episode of being in the business of making money, but then also finding a handful of tech projects that you like now at good prices that you could have a great average for in the future. So is Zcash going to be the way that we all transact with money today, tomorrow, and forever? No, I don't think so. But I do think that there is certain values and certain use cases that Zcash can satiate, and I wouldn't count it out just yet.
Dante Ball 360 says, which banks have NDAs with Ripple?
Let's define NDA. So NDA is a non-disclosure agreement, which means you cannot disclose the details of the agreement. It's the entirety of the acronym. So there's been a lot of inferences from the Ripple team that they have a lot of banks that they've established to some extent deals with, but they don't want those details of the deal public, right? And there's nothing wrong with that, right? If I was working with a biotech company or a pharmaceutical industry, like I wouldn't want everyone telling them, hey, he's got this magic pill that cures cancer, right? Like I don't want all my partners that have entered an agreement with me to go around telling everyone I have this magic cancer pill and potentially share some of the details of it that could hinder my ability to have an early start in this, right? But we do know that even like with larger partners that Ripple has right now, existing ones like TravelX and SBI Remit being one of the larger ones, right? Because they're international. They have a lot of other smaller money transmitting partners underneath them and that work with them, right? And some of those people don't even want people to know that they're working with SBI Remit, right? So they might have NDAs with SBI Remit. They might have NDAs directly with Ripple if they work with them and they're using the ODL corridors, right? There's certain partners that want to have their privacy respected and continue to use this tech without letting the world know what solution they're using, right? So I know that some of that can sound a little bit speculative, but it is a very, very common practice. And I would be a lot more speculative if Ripple didn't have any partners, right? Like if Ripple was like, they're all NDAs, I'd be like, all right, that doesn't sound right, right? Like, but we have lots of legit partners. We see there's actual demand on those ODL networks, but then we also have some banks that are just not quite there yet. I think now that XRP has regulatory clarity as a non-security, right? That's been declared by the court, that we can definitely see a lot quicker progress now. But again, we haven't regulated as exchanges yet, so why the heck is Bank of America going to try to jump in and say, yeah, we'll go ahead and just start using XRP as one of our settlement layers when they're not even sure where they can unload their liquidity other than just the ODL hub from Ripple, right? So just things to consider, guys. Adoption in itself is slow, right? Even though we think that Bitcoin adoption, because price is high right now, is far along, there's no banks issuing Bitcoin right now. There's no banks accepting Bitcoin right now. There's no banks settling on Bitcoin right now. So understand that your opportunity right now is because those things have not fully come to fruition yet.
Blake on one. I'm a noob and don't know where to start in crypto. Help.
Man, I wish I had some good resources for you. Cryptocharge.com. No, but here on YouTube, we try to give you guys a little bit of kind of that introductory knowledge. We cover a lot of different topics on these Ask Matty shows. This one happened to be a little bit more fundamentally based, but we've covered a lot about some of the things that we were concerned about, some of the goals, some of our strategies. We cover a lot of that through these YouTube videos, but really with our program, we give you guys the beginner's course within CryptoCharge, right? So you kind of get a little 40-minute course. It gives you a crash course on, hey, here's the different types of crypto. Here's how a wallet works. Here's how exchanges work, right? We give you guys that 40-minute, little bath there so you can at least get your toes wet, right? And then we have other sections you can go through as well. But really, I'm a firm believer in ongoing education when it comes to just about anything that you're passionate about and you want to become really good at, right? I'm a person who, even though I've been charting for over 8 years and I've been in crypto for 5-6 years now, right? Like, I'm still always doing ongoing education to keep myself sharp, to keep myself involved, to keep myself on top, right? So that's really the bigger value that we provide you guys, is those daily updates, and that's Monday through Friday. So we give you guys the macro, we give you guys the technicals, we give you guys kind of just mindset stuff, we give you guys strategy, and then we have that Discord to tie it all together. So I know that you guys are new, you guys have questions. We're either going to direct you to a resource that we already have, or we're going to get your question answered pretty quickly. So if you're brand new, $50 a month is probably the cheapest you're going to find this level of support when it comes to entry-level education. Or if you're a little further in and you want to get into the day trading, that type of intermediate type of education, I think that we honestly provide great value. And again, that's 30 days free no matter what plan you pick. So you can actually just sign up right now, try it out, check our community out, get in the Discord right away, see it within 30 days if you don't feel smarter and sharper. And I guarantee you'll want to stick around.
I love that, Matty. I was sharing with you before the show, I've been doing some leverage trading myself, and it's good because you have your trade ideas in Discord. You drop those all the time. And they're very, how would I describe this? I would say they're safe in a lot of manners, because I look at the day trading channel and then I look at people, a lot of margin, very tight ranges. So like, that is where you can probably screw yourself if you're not paying close attention. But I've been doing a lot of leverage trading, and I catch myself, I have the urge to use more margin. I have the urge to go for tighter ranges, but I have to chill out on some point. So you dropped a Bitcoin trade in there, and I'm thinking, oh, I could add a little bit more margin. You got to take it slow. And so for like a newbie that wants to get into crypto, you need to learn about crypto, and then you need to learn about the TA portion of it, technical analysis, which you can do that on the beginner's course on the website. But then after that, the ball is really in your court. Like, there's everything on the website to get you starting to make money with trading, which is like a skill you can gain from what we got going on here. And so that's something I've been utilizing. It's like every single night now I hop on, with my buddy, and we just we look at trade ideas. I have like 30 altcoins in my watch list on TradingView, and we go through all of them. I'm starting to notice a lot of these altcoins, at the current moment, I'm like, they need to retest the breakout zone while Bitcoin's up, at its really local high of this cycle. So it's very interesting. So I have to sit there and make decisions about myself. It's like, well, am I going to short the altcoin market and then go long on Bitcoin? So it's like, I have to have those tough conversations with myself. But all of those, I just go back to the Discord. I'm like, okay, what's everyone else doing? And people are dropping Zcash trades in there. People are dropping Bitcoin Cash trades in there. I'm just like, okay, I can relieve myself. We're doing this as a community here. We're all trying to make money, and we all kind of see the general direction of where the crypto market is going right now. And so I think that's very helpful, which is something you need to know if you're trading. And Matty, any more upcoming trades now? I feel like I'm checking the Discord all the time for more trades.
Yeah, so short term, we're just sticking with this Bitcoin trade right now, because this level is going to be an important level that's going to be a directional indicator of if this local top's been made or not. We're actually kind of going for a little cheeky retrace play here, trying to track down some trap liquidity a little bit higher here on Bitcoin. And then we'll kind of reassess from there. But there are definitely a lot of altcoin and Bitcoin opportunities that I would like to capitalize on if we were to retest 35K. I'd be reopening a lot of my Casper leverage longs, my Bitcoin Cash longs, maybe an APA 3 long as well. But I kind of just want to see how Bitcoin behaves in this particular trade, and then kind of reassess from there, because I do think that we have expressed a lot of bullishness to the upside, and I just want to be careful when we take those trades, make sure we're trading with the trend. It's putting as much probabilities in our favor. And again, that's something you guys are just going to get used to as we go through our program.
All right, team, don't be freaking out here. I know we talked a lot about fundamentals, we talked about NDAs, we talked about trading. A lot of that, if you're a newbie here, is probably a lot for you. Just join up so you can, like, go past all the things we talked about and get to the the fundamentals and the basics of what we're talking about, then come back to us. Go watch another show if this show was too in depth for you. We'll ease it up next week, Matty. Anything to leave the team with here? We got a couple minutes here. Any good rants? Anything to really go off about? We had a big week last week with the spot Bitcoin ETF.
We sure did. And it's interesting again that news rallied us right into that 618, the macro 618, looking at the previous cycle high, cycle low. I think fundamentals are very important and the macro is very important. It's always just interesting that we get just the right push at the right time fundamentally to get us to those technical targets that we already have had our eyes on for a very long time, right? Especially when we kind of saw that bottom for 15.5K, we were able to kind of adjust that fib a little bit. We had a little bit more of a clear picture of what those retrace levels looked like. And it's amazing that we've kind of rejected from there a bit. So, again, I think that now is still a great time to capitalize on alts, but, definitely always have a little bit of dry powder on the side, prepared to capitalize on some opportunities when we do get those big dips, because really more of my strategy right now is going to be limit-based ordering than DCA. There's a couple things I'm still DCAing to, Zcash being one of them right now because the prices are just so good. And I've been able to lower my average pretty significantly, increase my overall risk to reward ratio there. But, it's time to get dialed in, guys, get that trading journal going, get on, some sort of exercise program, keeps you very mentally focused, right? Make sure you're drinking enough water, I'm not your mom here, but I just want you guys to be successful all around. So hope you guys take this year by the horns and make it your own.
Words of wisdom, Matty. All right, team, we're done for today. We'll see you next week. Bye.